Okay, when I say the word librarian, what's the first thing that pops into your head? Seriously, is it someone kind of stern, surrounded by dusty old books, and their number one job is to shush you? Well, I want you to hold that image in your mind because we're about to see how it's not just a little outdated, it's completely and totally wrong.
So on one hand, yeah, you've got that pop culture stereotype, stamping books, demanding silence, basically a quiet guardian of the past. But the reality of today? Oh, it couldn't be more different. We're talking about high-level professionals who manage enormous, complex databases, teach people crucial digital literacy skills, and act as expert guides through the wild, tangled web of global information.
You know, this brings up a couple of really big questions. First, how did this massive gap between what we think they do and what they actually do get so wide? And maybe more importantly, what even makes a job a profession in the first place?
To get to the bottom of that, we really need a solid foundation. Before we can even start to talk about librarianship, we have to agree on what the word profession actually means, because I promise you, it's a whole lot more than just a job title.
So, if you look it up, a profession is defined as a calling that needs specialized knowledge and usually a ton of intense schoolwork. But honestly, the most important part is right there at the end. Its main purpose is to provide a public service. That totally changes the game, right? It shifts the whole focus from just earning a paycheck to actually serving the community.
And this brings us to a really key difference. Think about it like this. A vocation, say being an electrician, requires incredible hands-on practical skill, no doubt about it. But a profession, like being an electrical engineer, needs both that practical skill and a really deep theoretical understanding of why things work the way they do. One knows how to wire a house, the other knows why the entire power grid is designed that way. See the difference?
Okay, so now that we've got our definition straight, it's time to put it to the test. Let's open up the official case file on librarianship and really dig into the evidence, and we'll even start with the arguments against it to see if it truly holds up as a profession.
Now, to be fair, the argument hasn't always been a slam dunk. Some folks in the past have pointed out that librarianship, historically, just hasn't had the same kind of official community backing as, say, being a doctor. They've argued that its services aren't always seen as life or death, and that librarians don't really have the same kind of authority over their clients as a lawyer does.
But let's check that against the formal criteria, shall we? A researcher named Ernest Greenwood actually laid out 5 key hallmarks of what makes a real profession. You can think of this as our official checklist. It needs a systematic theory, it needs authority and community approval, a code of ethics, a professional culture, and, of course, a focus on service.
So when we actually take this checklist and apply it to library and information science, well, the results are pretty darn clear. A systematic body of theory? Yep, that's taught in postgraduate programs. Authority that comes from university degrees? Absolutely. A formal code of ethics and a strong professional culture with its own associations? Check and check. And a core mission of service? I mean, that's the beating heart of the entire field. By every single one of these formal measures, the case is rock solid.
But here's the thing, it wasn't always this way. This profession didn't just pop up overnight. It's been constantly moving, constantly evolving over centuries to keep up with what society needs.
The whole journey really starts in the scholarly period, where librarians were these exclusive keepers of priceless manuscripts for, kings and monks. But then, with the boom of public libraries in the 1800s, the role became much more of a vocation, demanding practical skills like cataloging for everybody. Then, the 20th century came along and professionalized the whole thing, bringing in scientific methods. And each step just built on the last, leading us right here, to the digital age, where the whole challenge is wrangling these vast, complex information networks for all of us.
So who is the LIS professional today? Well, for starters, they're an architect. A classificationist who literally designs the structure of knowledge itself, figuring out how all this information is organized and connected.
They're also a detective. This is your classic reference librarian, an absolute expert at sniffing out one specific, crucial piece of information from a gigantic universe of data. It doesn't matter if it's in a dusty old book or a super specialized online database.
And they're a builder, too. They're not just organizing what's already out there anymore. The modern content developer is actively creating and pulling together brand new information resources to meet the very specific needs of their users.
And finally, they are the cybrarian. The digital librarian is the one working to weave all of our memory institutions, libraries, archives, museums, into one seamless digital universe, saving our past while making sure it's there for our future.
When you put all of these pieces together, it points to a powerful new reality. The role has completely transformed. Today, they are truly the modern guardians of information.
So what's the final takeaway here? After looking at the evidence, the history, and all of these incredibly specialized modern roles, the verdict is just undeniable. Librarianship isn't just a job. It is, by every single meaningful definition, a profession.
And this breakdown really just hammers the point home. That traditional role of custodian, the one we all picture in our heads, is now just this tiny sliver of the pie. The vast majority of the work is being an information scientist, a digital manager, and an educator. These are highly skilled, technical, and service-driven roles. And yet, for all that complexity, at its heart, it all comes back to that core mission of serving the public. The legendary librarian S.R. Ranganathan just said it perfectly. He said, "The joy of the profession comes from seeing the joy on someone's face when they've been helped to find the exact right information at the exact right time." And this brings us to one last, really critical thought. We are living in an age that is absolutely flooded with misinformation and disinformation. So when we need those architects and detectives and builders of knowledge to help us figure out what's real, well, their professional role has never been more vital. It kind of leaves you wondering, in a world like this, if these guardians of information don't protect the truth, who will?